This is the Two Scrappy Chicks podcast where life is messy, the stories are real, and we dare to talk about it anyway.
All right. Gosh, I hope I can get through this. 3 episodes, Married at First Sight. It is after one. Just already did 3 other podcasts. Yeah, I'm on a roll. I wish I would have gotten to this earlier, but I was busy. Okay. So, episode 16, the couples have left the session from number 15 and they're in the car talking, and Sean poked the bear, obviously, with Adam. uh, Fel- Felipe and Tori. Felipe felt like he got slayed and that Tori didn't have his back. So she set him straight and said, when he did the comment sleeping with other women, uh, she stuck up for him even though she probably shouldn't have. So yeah, Tori, know your worth. Belle and Mecca, um, upset about. Hold on. I think it was Mecca. Oh, yeah. Belle was upset about the comment the first time he seen her not attracted to her. Um, yeah, Mecca needs to watch what he says. Some things are better off kept to yourself. That wasn't very nice. Michelle and Cameron, they're back at their apartment, and she made Rice Krispie treats. Maybe she's not much of a cook. And then Felipe's at the gym, and Devin meets up with them, and Devin tells him he's confused. Should he make a move or not? And then we see Nikki and Sean. And apparently, Sean, I don't think this was on camera, but apparently, Sean said to Nikki that in Seattle, she's a 10. In New York, she's a 7. So that hasn't gone over with her well. Caitlin and Devin are having lunch downstairs. Apparently, she's got him listening to Taylor Swift. And decision day, they haven't been very romantic. And to Devin, physical connection is important to him. But with Caitlin, she said emotional connection is important to her. Um, so yeah, there hasn't really been hugs, kisses, definitely didn't have sex. And Devin doesn't feel seen and understood. Okay. Then we have Nikki and Sean, and she's cooking dinner, and she's cooking the mac and cheese and had to call her mom. And it's funny, Sean said that's a lot of cheese. Well, apparently Nikki's not much of a cook. So she calls her mom asking about the recipe, and her mom gives her tips, and then she goes, gives the phone to Sean, say hi to my mom. So they talk a little bit over the speakerphone, and Sean was feeling good that Nikki, allowed him to talk to her mom, and he said that Nikki's been connecting her community with him. So dinner's done. It looks like it's mac and cheese, a vegetable, and maybe chicken. And Sean says to the camera, "Yeah, the mac and cheese was okay." And he's like, um, better than terrible. So maybe he didn't like her mac and cheese. I mean, how can you screw up mac and cheese? Whatever, right? Belle and Mecca, they're at the hot tub, and she's still hanging on to that comment he made, um, that he wasn't attracted to her at first. So it's really hitting her, uh, like making her question things. All right. So now we have, let's see, and then Mecca. Okay. So Mecca apologizes for saying it and that, is potentially self-sabotaging the relationship. Next, Adam and Marissa are packing for the trip. Michelle and Cameron were joking around, like, let's see how everyone is. Should we, you pack the popcorn and the butter. Doesn't sound like Cameron has faith in the other couples. And uh Belle and Mecca, she said she's nervous and Mecca's afraid of making it worse. Tori and Felipe were driving and then light came on her dashboard. Her engine was smoking, so they had to pull over. And Tori was just not feeling, his support and his help for it. And, she was hoping whoever she marries, her spouse, would take care of things, and like be her, partner. So she's turned off now from this. So, um, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the couples are all going to a big house for a couples retreat. Okay, so the couple start arriving, and Tori and Felipe end up getting a ride. And Tori had made a comment to Felipe prior, I don't know what's wrong with my car, but I may be having to go to a car dealership. And, she was hoping Felipe would step up. And even the whole situation of how it handled, she didn't really feel he was stepping up or supported or helpful in the situation. Okay. So, um, they obviously had to take a car there and ugh, excuse me. Um, Nikki and Sean were talking about Cameron and Michelle that real things haven't hit them. So, um, they get to the house and then they're shown their room and it's two beds with bunks. It's funny. And then Sean had to leave early morning the next day because he was going to New York for his mom's birthday, I think, her 77th. So my question was, why didn't Nikki go with? You know, um, unless he didn't want her to, or yeah. I wonder if we'll get that answers why Nikki didn't go with. So, um, Sean takes Adam outside and he apologizes because the last episode he kind of went after Adam pretty hard about his language and kind of was like insulting. And Sean says, my approach was awful. I'm sorry. And I don't think your intelligence is lacking. So, of course, Adam's like, we good. Okay, that's nice. All right. So then Cameron suggests they play a game, and it's a question bowl. And this did not go very well. Most, I'll just read the questions. Most likely to do, um, okay, so it's a question bowl. Most likely to do what it says, and then someone picks the thing out of the bowl and says it, and people have to vote on who, and the one with the most wins the trophy. Okay, most likely to flirt with a waiter. Felipe. Most likely to hook up in a public place. Felipe. Most likely to self sabotage. Mecca. Most likely to get the ick in the marriage. Caitlin. most likely to opt for a swap? Caitlin. Um, most likely to get getting mixed signals. Okay. Uh, sorry, I had a side note. Devin was getting mixed signals with the Caitlin answering that. With the swap, Devin's just like, okay, what the heck? Okay. Most likely to get caught lying where they were last night, Felipe. Most likely to put their foot in their mouth, Felipe. So yeah, this didn't sit well with Tori because Felipe was laughing about it and that, and she's just like, there's a you and a me, there's a we in this relationship, and she felt it was kind of looking bad on her. So she went up to the room by herself afterwards, and the girls all went into Nikki's room to talk, and then the guys were downstairs. And oh, there was more questions. Most likely to not be ready to be married, Felipe. Most likely to send nudes to the wrong person, Felipe. So yeah, Tori's feelings was like he's like celebrating being a womanizer and they're all egging him on. Like it's, a good thing. So I felt bad for her that she went into her room by herself and the girls were in the other room. And um so when the men were talking, they were talking about, well, Devin says that Caitlin hates the camera, and one of the guys says, I think it was Adam, said, well, when she was with Adam, she saw that she was on her phone and ignoring Devin the whole time. And Devin's like, huh, everyone else is noticing these things. Okay, so then Belle talks about Mecca. He's great, but he says things the wrong way. And then we go to Mecca with the guys, and he says, I fucked up. Oops, I said the F word, sorry. And rude to her at dinner. And, people are like, yeah, why would you say that, Mecca? And then they ask if Belle is his dream girl. And he says no. And they're like, so what's your type? And he goes, well, somebody a little thicker. So supposedly with boobs. And it's like, really? Um, Cameron thinks Mecca lacks maturity and is superficial. Like he wants what he wants. And Mecca says, I do like her. I did find an attraction. And then Belle um feels, Belle says she has shifted. So they were gonna say they were positive they were gonna say yes, but now Belle is shifting away from that answer. Okay. Felipe goes to see Tori and she explains to him why she's upset. She goes, switch it around if it was me in your shoes and you were me. And I don't think he was getting it. And pretty much she says, I don't think you care about me like I do you. I didn't do this to become a mom. I did it to find a partner. And then, of course, Tori's crying. I felt bad. And then she says, everyone's perception of you is a womanizer. And he's like, what can I do to make it better? And Tori's like, I don't see you being in my corner. And she says she can't do this. And Felipe says, oh, maybe we're not compatible. And Tori says, well, you can go back to the single life. And I'm like, really? Felipe? Um, Felipe, he leaves the room and then he goes downstairs. And the guys are like, dude, what's wrong? And he's like, she broke up with me. So that was the end of 16. So now 17, we pick back up with Felipe being upset, talking to the guys, and the girls finally go see Tori. And she explains to him what's going on, that he just doesn't get it. And it gets old at times, him being the joke of being a bad partner. And, she doesn't like it for, how it reflects on her. So, um, Caitlin talks to Felipe and says, um, why didn't you stick up for yourself when people were saying, you know, this stuff to you, like boundaries? And, you know, when someone is talking about the relationship, it's a we, no longer a you. So then Devin uh has been trying with Caitlin, you know, to heighten the relationship. Um, and then we're back with Nikki, and she said, as far as Sean, she's, leaned into it, the attraction with Sean. So there's 6 days left before decision day. And Devin, I think it was Devin, because I didn't write it down. I wrote, he was hopeful. No romantic feelings, um, but oh yeah, it is Devin, but it's in her court. Felipe feels scared, feels like a bad person who effed up, and he is sleeping on the couch. And apparently at 2 in the morning, Devin and Caitlin got into a fight. Um, I guess not Nikki, Caitlin wanted to, get intimate with Devin, and she says he either goes and eats or um takes a shower. So they end up getting in a fight. And, you know, that she tried to make an attempt. So they didn't really show them fighting, it was off camera. Okay, 9:25. And you see Felipe snoring on the couch. Devin is the chef cooking breakfast. And he talks about how him and Caitlin got into it last night and it snowballed things. And Cameron was saying how he's seeing the disconnect in the other couples. And, Mecca not saying nice things. Michelle telling Caitlin that Mecca want a girl with bigger ninnies. Or should I just say titties? Sean had left to go see his mom, and then the couples leave to go on dates. Becca, not Becca, Beljulie and Mecca do a wine tasting, and Mecca does admit self sabotage. Tori and Felipe, he goes to her. Uh, Tori and Felipe, he goes to talk to her upstairs, and um, I will get into more of what happened. Or, oh, I guess I did write it here. Okay, so he goes to talk to her. Tori says he doesn't consider her feelings. He doesn't make room for her. He's supposed to be her safe space. And Felipe says, I have PTSD of partnering and being ashamed of a partner, being ashamed of him, and partners being, um, why did I write that twice? So he has PTSD of partners being ashamed of him, like partners that are with him. And he's like, I need my partner to trust me, who I am. If we can commit to, oh, Tori, if we can commit to being each other's safe place, then um, it's also going to take a lot for her to trust Felipe. And then we see Nikki FaceTiming with Sean, and that was cute. And then Felipe and Tori, they made up, so then they're doing archery. She's really good. Adam and Marissa are riding bikes. Caitlin and Devin um, were driving to a picnic, and she said, I'm sorry, I was combative last night. I was getting mixed signals, and then I shut down. So later on, dinner at the house. Devin is cooking again, and Mecca is telling um, Michelle told Belle about Mecca talking about the big boobies. And Belle says, he's childish, and I didn't ask for a man with painted nails. Go, Belle. Okay. And Nikki was telling Sean about, did she tell Sean? Hold on. Okay. No, Nikki was telling the table at dinner about Sean and the 10-7 thing, and that she's hurt and wondered if Sean is hurt. And if he is, she would like to break his shell. Tori and Felipe uh, talking to the group that they were good and more. Um, let's see. Okay. So Michelle says, or no, Mecca says he needs to be respectful to Belle. And let's see. Oh, so Sean and Nikki, and Nikki talks about, leaning into the attraction and that she actually misses him. And, you know, I think I mentioned this before. She tells the group about the 10-7, and Michelle like makes comments about it, and Nikki calls her out and says, not everyone's relationships um are the same, and that's your journey, this is our journey. So yeah, that was interesting. um Later on, Michelle does tell Belle about what Mecca said about the boobies, and she goes to Mecca and talks to him about it. And he thought talking to his guys about that was a safe place. So now he's just like, okay, who told their wife? Well, it was Cameron. So that did not go over too well with Belle. And I feel bad for her. It's like Becca keeps putting his foot in his mouth. Okay. So then they play another game. I don't think this was a good idea. Spin the bottle and goes to Felipe, who's your hall pass? And he's like, oh God, I can't do this. And then finally he just goes Dua Lipa. And then we go to Mecca and Belle. They had walked off to have that conversation. And she was saying to the camera, Belle outside of this experiment would not be dealing with this. Okay. Um, Mecca and Caitlin go outside to the fire pit because Caitlin wants to debrief with him about what went down with him and Belle Jolie. And everyone's like, what is going on with those two? And Devin wasn't having it, and he said it looks flirty. And that uh I guess later on Devin and Caitlin got into it again. And Belle and Mecca were there, and Devin walks away, and Mecca um goes, after him. So then the next day, uh Caitlin and Devin are having a discussion, and he says, I feel like I can't get through to you. We have nothing to hold on to in this relationship. You're disrespectful, and you never um, let me talk. You interrupt. You're not going to carry this stuff from your past relationships, toxic stuff. Um, and we don't see eye to eye. We don't see eye to eye, and clearly, it's the best thing to not continue because I'm not playing into your toxicity. So, um, episode 18, it's the final um, day where they're at the couples retreat. And uh, let's see. Okay, so apparently there was a little dance party with rap music, and I guess they kept somebody up. So then Devin let everyone know, me and Kate are calling it. We don't see eye to eye. There's a power struggle. We can't communicate. Her toxic patterns and emotion is emotionally draining. Caitlin said it's emotional, constantly arguing. And then Devin says, you didn't listen. I'm tired of being disrespected. And Caitlin was saying she was at her wit's end and she feels relieved. So then she was like, can I hit a ride home with somebody? So she does get one from Cameron and Michelle. And um, Mecca feels responsible for what happened with Kate and Devin. And he's like, no, dude, it's good. So Devin says his goodbyes. And Caitlin is saying she's the most vulnerable she has been in her life and she felt misunderstood and she can't wait to go home. So she rides home with Cameron and Michelle. And Nikki had Mecca and Bella in her car. And Mecca was like putting himself down, and the girls are like, Mecca, stop saying that. Because I guess he was calling himself an idiot. Tori and Felipe um, are in a car with Adam and Marissa because, Tori's car broke down. And then Adam says, you guys walked so Caitlin and Devin could run. Okay. Nikki and Sean. Nikki stayed up to wait for Sean to come home. And I thought that was nice. And then Felipe met up with his mom and his friend Nana. And he was saying he's not quite sure about his answers or his answer for decision day. And he says the relationship it's not perfect and it's hard to be myself sometimes and then I get into trouble and then when I'm my true self around her, you know, she calls him I have no idea what I wrote. Okay. And he said that they already broke up once. Okay. Felipe, um, I'm going to say stupid crap the rest of my life and don't, don't mean any harm. Tori is torn. She has a lot to think about. Felipe says Tori is amazing. And then Mecca and Belle on they're on the bridge and then they see it's like a bridge of locks. They see one that says Daddy and Belle, and they thought that was kind of weird and funny. So they have a discussion while on the bridge. Nikki and Sean apparently missed each other. Nikki learned a lot, what's acceptable and not acceptable. And Belle and Mecca, she um, brings up the 10-7 comment. And, oh, Nikki was talking about Belle and Mecca and how they were doing. So then Nikki brings up, well, I want to talk to you about the 10-7 comment that you gave me. And Sean said, okay, when this happened, he claimed that Nikki grabbed his belly fat and said that, look at you. And his response to the moment was that doing the 10 and the 7, and she does not remember grabbing his belly and saying that, but she did apologize, and he did as well. So I guess all is good with those two for now. And um, back to Mecca, and no, I'm sorry, Marissa and Adam were on the couch, and Tori and Felipe were at the apartment. And she feels stronger with Felipe and gives her hope. And Felipe presented her with a photo album, their wedding, which was sweet. And then we have Michelle and Cameron go on a picnic. And she was saying she may be looking for a job in Portland. And he feels bad about her doing that. And she said, I can't overthink it. I wanted to be somebody's ride or die in my marriage. So this is what I'm going to do. And she says it feels nice to be reciprocated, the feelings. And it's something that she hasn't had before. And she has not said the L word to him yet, but she may be doing it. Uh, Decision day. Um, Both of them are excited for decision day. And well, I guess we'll see what happens with those two. Belle and Mecca. I don't know what to think of these two. And and we got Marissa and Adam. And then I asked Mecca, does he want it to work? And let's see. No, actually, what's this about? Yeah, I guess this is. Was this about Mecca? Mecca and Belle. Mecca asked. Uh, and Belle says, oh God, doesn't want to ask. Ugh, I'm just gonna skip over that part because I don't know what the heck I wrote. I think this is back to Michelle. Or is it Mecca? Okay. Mecca saying he's in love with all these things about Belle, but is he in love with Belle? And now it's, I think, Michelle. Michelle and Cameron, I think they both left the apartment for decision day. Marissa left the apartment. Mecca and Belle. Mecca left. Tori and Felipe. Felipe went home, and Felipe was saying, you know, his fear of commitment. Nikki and Sean. Um, Nikki was leaving, and Sean was helping her pack up and stuff. And Nikki said, I'm sorry. Sean asked her, "Did you make a decision yet?" And she said, "No, I'm going to pray on it." And then, like, Sean asked her a question about it, and she was, like, kind of giving a lengthy answer, and he just cut her off. And then she's like, that wasn't cool. So then they kind of got in an argument, and Sean's like, watch your tone. And so she apologized, and then he apologized. And she's like, thinking in her head, I really need to think deeply come decision day. Tori and Felipe um, meet in the park, and I am not sure. Um, oh, sorry. Felipe says he's not sure. He says this to the camera that he can be the man that Tori deserves. And Tori says she doesn't think he's ready for marriage. And then Felipe has flowers, and uh, what is this I wrote? Oh, so he's telling her she's incredible, and that, he dropped the F bomb. And apparently, Felipe and Tori had a discussion, and it wasn't filmed, and she is hurt, and, seems like she was crying, and she is just wondering, um, well, whatever it was that Felipe said to her, her words were, "Do you think that's normal?" And then, "What you told me." Yeah. So I went on Reddit, and people are trying to figure out what did he do? What did he say? Some people are saying, "Oh, he's admitting he's bi," and then other people are saying, "Oh, he wants an open marriage," or "Oh, he cheated." So I guess we gotta wait till Thursday to find out what the heck Felipe said, and then we'll see if the any of the other couples have stayed, and then we have the fun reunion. So I believe the final and the reunion are next Thursday, and then that will be it for this show. All right, I'm gonna get to bed. So I will see you guys later. Thanks. Bye. We really appreciate you hanging out with the two scrappy chicks today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, download, and share it with a friend. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, just let us know.